From Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, it's the Penn State Nittany Lions versus the Buckeyes from Ohio State. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ray Scott. Max McGee is here with me. And Max, about the only word I've heard describing these Buckeyes is awesome.
I think they are, Ray. They didn't know how good they were. They found out last week they could play defense and they could play offense. And today's a perfect day for football. 70 degrees, 84,000 fans, two of America's most successful college coaches and two undefeated teams. Throw that to the fact that Ohio State has never beaten Penn State, and they've played them 4 times at home, and I think it's going to be an interesting Saturday afternoon.
You know, Max, you can't help but get caught up in this enthusiasm of this plus 80,000 throng at Ohio Stadium.
You're exactly right, Ray. And, you know, Joe Paterno was worried about he never liked the freshman rule where freshmen were eligible, but unfortunately last week he had to use a freshman. I say unfortunately, fortunately, and this freshman turned out to be dynamite. Tom Donovan had 113 yards rushing. This week he has 2 flankers, both freshmen, Rich Malott and Tom Donovan. So that'll prove interesting for Penn State. They're wasting no time with what they expect to do, and that's give the ball to Griffin and let him go. I think we'll look again. I think it came as a little bit of surprise to Penn State to see Green put the ball in the air this early. It is a one-man screen, and it almost broke for big yardage. This Bashnagel is quite a running back. Bashnagel, you can tell why he's averaging over 9 yards a carry. He breaks outside, and he's a very hard man to catch up with. A great defensive play prevented a touchdown. From the ground level, you can see it's a reverse, and he caught some Penn State people a little bit unexpected.
Greg Buttle was noted limping off the field.
Ray, that would be a big blow to Penn State if Rich Buttle is hurt. If Greg Buttle is hurt, because he's truly one of America's great defensive linebackers. It shut out Michigan State last week, which was supposed to be an outstanding offensive team, but Penn State knows it's got to take this ball to them, and I think Coach Paterno is going to keep trying to run this football. Great starting speed by Taylor. This young man's getting better every week, and this Penn State offense is beginning to gel early. And I don't think Penn State's afraid to go right back to that same pass in which they hit Barvinchuk a while ago. He was wide open. He ran a simple square out, and I think they're going to use that a lot today. Ray, I didn't see anything wrong with their defense. They were caught by surprise by that reverse. Other than that, they were pretty well keeping Ohio State somewhat in check. So I don't expect any change right now. Those reverses sometimes catch you by surprise, but I think they're satisfied with the way their defensive line is playing. Dwayne Taylor has this tremendous start at almost all the way. Look on the replay. He breaks it over left tackle, and it looks like now he's on the way to a touchdown. Just a great save by the last defensive man kept Dwayne Taylor from going all the way.
A little bit.
I think John Andress knows he can throw the ball, too. He seems to be getting more confidence in his passing attack, and he's getting men wide open, so Penn State has many ways to attack this team. After hearing his speech last night at this little dinner we had, this man has meant a lot to college football, and he says that whatever he wants to say, he lets it go. You can see on this play, if the first man doesn't make the tackle here, it's a big gainer, and this is tremendous defensive play. State started out, it looked like they were going to run Penn State out of the ballpark. Joe made a few adjustments, kept this young team right in there, and it's right now a very close football game.
What have you seen from Ohio State that you didn't expect?
Well, I didn't expect them to probably come out throwing the ball right off the bat, plus that reverse by Bashnagel really caught Penn State by surprise. But other than that, Penn State has actually controlled this, at least they've been somewhat in control of the football game.
I've been a little bit surprised that Ohio State did not go back to something like they used with Bashnagel on the reverse with its tremendous success. They've never gone back to it.
I'm sure we'll see it in the second half. But like I say, Joe Paterno is one of the few coaches in the country that can adjust to something immediately, and especially with a young football team like this.
Our colleague Lenny Moore is on the field with, and if you don't mind a personal comment, one of my long, old, and best friends, Bob Prince. Lenny?
Taylor's ran the ball 9 times for 73 yards, so Penn State can run the football too. I think this young Ohio State defense is vulnerable both to the run and pass. That's why I give Penn State a good chance of moving the ball. Mickey Schuler has been finding the opening spot all day. We'll look on the replay here. You'll see how open Mickey Schuler's getting, and this is his 4th reception today, and he's playing a tremendous game. You can see why Joe Paterno didn't change anything at halftime. His offense is working. He just hasn't got a touchdown on the board, but he's going to get something going.
2nd and about 1.5.
Great opportunity to try. Great opportunity to try something different here. And there's Joe Paterno. Maybe he sends in. Maybe he'll send in something different. Watch on this replay. This is as good a catch as you'll see if you watch football for 100 years. I asked Joe Paterno before the game, I said, when are you going to let us see this Fitzke? And he just laughed, but you just saw him, and what a catch by Fitzke. When you start looking for big plays, you can start right here. A big first down here, it gives this team a chance to get in for a touchdown instead of having to go for a field goal, which will make it 10-9. That's great, Ray. He was hitting just under 50% for the year, and this is going to give this young man a lot of confidence. He's throwing the ball very well. Let's take a look at Archie here. He was actually tackled and made a... Watch him roll away from this tackler right here and make an extra 5 yard. That's where he got the first down. That's almost an offensive weapon. When you can kick the ball 60 or 70 yards, that's almost as good as a pass thrown 50 or 60 yards.
Referee signals an official timeout, and the Ohio State players ask the crowd to be quiet because there's no way that Penn State's players could hear the signals.
That was a point Woody Hayes made last night, Ray, at this dinner, that he thought the fans here were very nice because they'd allow both teams to hear their signals. And I think that in fair play, that's the way it should be in all of football. There was a lot of movement in that Penn State backfield. They went into a shift, which you don't see very often, probably to try to confuse this young Ohio State defense. Evidently, it didn't confuse them that time. It's not much else you can run. You can run a screen or draw in those situations, because trying to throw the ball downfield when you've got at least 8 men back there is too much danger of interception. So that's why you see most teams try to salvage and draw or the screen pass. You begin to wonder when they might try that reverse they used in the first half with Bashnagel. Somewhere along the line, they've got to start getting outside. The Penn State defense is bottling up the inside of that line.
Oh, is he upset at himself?
I think when you're that open, you probably have a tendency to take your eye off the ball.
I think John Quinn provided the rush here, Max.
Right, and Green rolls away from the rush. This was a secondary receiver, but he is so open, I think it's surprising that the ball got there. But evidently, when you're this open, the tendency is to try to run before you catch it, and that's what happens.
Buckeyes have been putting the ball in the air many more times than almost anyone expected they would.
Yes, I think that's a tribute to the defense that Penn State is playing, that interior line and those 3 linebackers, or those 4 linebackers. But, you know, I really think that Corny Green is probably more dangerous when he goes back instead of throwing the ball when he runs it. I think he's more dangerous than when he throws it. Let's watch this on the replay. I think this is a man he meant to go to. It's a little one-man screen. Great block by Brad Benson. Looks as though he anticipated a pass, and nobody picked up this linebacker, which was a mistaken interior line. And Joe Paterno's team has made very few mistakes today, almost none. You know, Ray, I asked Joe Paterno last night how it felt to be over a 2-touchdown underdog. He said, how can you be a 2-touchdown underdog? Because Michigan State, he didn't think played that good a game. You really can't tell till you line up on the field to see who's a 2-touchdown underdog.
Max, may I ask you a question based on your playing experience? How much of a psychological advantage is a following win to a team?
Well, it's a great psychological advantage because even if you don't make a first down, you can kick your way out of trouble. Plus, throwing the ball is much easier. So psychologically, it's a tremendous edge. And look, from the field goal standpoint, that gives you an extra 10 yards.
Boy, I'll tell you, that Chris Ward, number 79, that sophomore left tackle, is something else.
He weighs 270 pounds. Let's watch this fullback barrel through here. Ohio State noted for big fullbacks, and this is one of their bigger ones at 200 and almost 250. On the replay, you'll see it. He don't make the pitch, and right now it's too late to make the pitch. I'm not sure it's a good play on a cutback here because you put yourself almost out of first down reach. Let's watch Greg Buttle. He's been in and out of the game, but when he's in the game, he makes a big difference. He'll meet Archie Griffin right here. He enjoys playing linebacker. He plays as good as anybody. That's right, a great Ohio State fullback. Arms mean nothing to this man. He goes right through arms. You can't arm tackle a man like that. Nick Bonamici made one of the hardest tackles I've seen all day.
Right there.
Great run, but a great tackle. Jars that ball loose. He almost got out of that last tackle. Let's look at it again. When you say raw power, this is raw power. Here it goes. He breaks a tackle here. He breaks a tackle here, and then tripped up by the last hand between him and the double stripe. I don't think this will affect the rankings in the country in any way. Both these teams are ranked in the top 10, and they've both shown that they can play good football.